Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. All right, second hour kicks off right now on this rainy Wednesday morning, depending on where you are listening to us from. But thanks for making us a part of your start here. We appreciate it. Whether you're listening on the radio dials, you got a couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, sportstalk1051.com. You've got the video stream also up and rolling. Don't forget to click that follow, subscribe, whatever the kids call it, on the YouTube page there. Ring that bell. We appreciate that very, very, very much. And please feel free to join in on the Section 105 chat over there, too. I got your smart devices like Alexa, Google devices that you can also tune in. Mike says the move yesterday that confused me the most was Greg Jones. When is he going to get a chance to play in that outfield? Well, remember, Greg Jones is also an infielder, too. So I'm assuming that would be his first opportunity if it got to that point. I know when he first was called up, it was primarily in the outfield, but he is a player that plays infield and outfield. So my guess is that since Hamilton was only on the 10-day injured list, they must view it as a short term. Probably after the All-Star break, he'd be available just from a timing standpoint. So I think Greg Jones is probably just being called up as a guy that is going to be there for an emergency situation in case something happens with the infield. So he can play infield as well. C-Bomb says a real tip of the cap to Murphy. Sticking with Ortiz, the question will still remain similar as last year. In a late inning playoff game, is Ortiz a guy that you could trust at the plate with runners in scoring position? That's what the Brewers brass needs to figure out. Yeah, I'd co-sign on that for sure. Yeah. Keep those Brewers thoughts coming. Hit me up, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or join in on the chat. Hey, Casper Classic. We are less than a month away from the Classic, and I just opened up a couple more spots for 10 a.m., and we still got just a couple more left for 1 p.m. We also have the Surveyor flight at 7:30 a.m., but time is running out. All right, so head to our website, sportstalk1051.com. Click on the icon there and sign up your two-person team for just $90. That's $90 for the team, not per person. Includes 9 holes, a cart at Lake Alley Golf Course, Friday, August 7th. Also includes your meal and some drink tickets and such. So big thanks to our partners this year, Muldoon's, Park Ridge Distributing, Hy-Vee and Eau Claire, Kelsey Nicolai, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Dodge, Cambridge, Myron Construction, VFW Post 305, Superior Auto Body, Window World, Home Oasis, Residence Branding, Claflin Construction, Carpet City Flooring Center, and Economy Furniture. We are still looking for some raffle prizes too, because 100% of those proceeds go to helping fund Backyard Dreams. So if you're interested in a prize donation or would like to sponsor a hole and such, please reach out and we'll put you in touch with the proper peeps. But a big thanks to all of you who have already signed up. If you know anybody else, maybe recruit some other people to sign up. And if you want to golf with them, let me know, and I'll make sure to pair you up with them. All right. More details again at our website, sportstalk1051.com. Let's continue our talk, our countdown for Packers training camp, shall we? As we inch closer and closer to the start of camp, we'll do a little bit of a countdown of the top stories, top things to watch, biggest question marks. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about running backs and Josh Jacobs. I'm going to stay on the offensive side of the ball here. And I think one of the interesting things to watch in training camp is going to be the offensive line when it comes to the Packers. for a few different reasons. Because when you look at it, the offensive line, you're going to have a new starter at left tackle, and it's going to be Jordan Morgan. Now, Jordan Morgan, a first-round pick, been with the ball club for the last couple of years, but I think there's still a little bit of a question out there. Can he be the long-term fixture at left tackle? Just because we haven't seen him play a significant amount of time at left tackle, and especially in the regular season. I mean, he has shown last year in preseason, training camp, he was solid at the left tackle position, but Rasheed Walker was still your starter in the regular season. Rasheed Walker is no longer there. It is Jordan Morgan's job to lose. So, can he be that long-term fixture? Can he be the guy? And that blind spot for Jordan Love and that blind spot for the Packers for the foreseeable future. Sean Rhyan gets a new contract, gets inserted into that center spot, replacing Elton Jenkins from last year. Elton Jenkins, the veteran, no longer on this team. And Sean Rhyan looked like he, maybe was a little bit better than Elton Jenkins at that center spot. But he gets the contract extension, and now he's going to get a full offseason and a full training camp and a full preseason to prepare for that center position. Can he maybe elevate his game just a little bit more? Is there more room for him to grow and to get better at that offensive line or at that center spot? Aaron Banks, last year, big free agent contract, underwhelmed. I think that's fair to say. I think it's fair to say that he underwhelmed. Dealt with some injuries. But from a performance standpoint, based off the contract that he has, it is safe to say that he underwhelmed. Can he improve this year? Can he be reliable this year? Can he be healthy this year? And can that play be better this year? For a guy that's getting paid a lot of money, is it fair to say that from the starters, maybe he's got the most questions around him? Got a little bit better towards the end of last year. But maybe the other guy, too, is Anthony Belton. Anthony Belton, rookie last year. First initially came as a right tackle, but then the Packers putting him in at right guard. He is a massive human being. He's a big guy, 6'6", 335, 340. What's he going to be like in his sophomore year? Can he elevate? Can he elevate his game in year two and be the fixture at that right guard spot? But don't ignore, I should say, don't overlook one of the rookies for Green Bay this year that maybe makes a push to be a starter. And, of course, we're talking about Burton. Now, Burton, if you're looking at depth charts, he's currently listed as the backup center, but the 5th-round pick from Kentucky. He's been getting a lot of looks, getting some reps with the ones in these minicamp practices, OTAs, all that fun stuff. So this is a guy that could push to play and maybe get some starting time early on in the season. I think a lot's going to depend on the play. Obviously, health, too, is going to be a big factor in all this. But I think a lot is going to depend on the play from maybe an Aaron Banks. What if Sean Rhyan struggles at center? Would they make the move even though they signed him to a 3-year deal? What about Anthony Belton? Anthony Belton, if it's just not working for him, could they slide Burton over there too? Or maybe Burton at center and Rhyan back at guard? Keep an eye on Burton this year, especially in training camp. Because if he's going out there, if the Packers and Matt LaFleur continue with their 5 best will play, and if it's clearly obvious that Burton is a top 5 offensive lineman on this team, where does he slot in then? Who loses that spot on that starting line? I think you look at that interior part. Banks, Ryan and Belton, even with Ryan signing a contract. Because at least you can maybe move him from center to guard, or you have a little bit of flexibility there. Zach Tom, I think, for him, we know when he's one of the better right tackles in this league. It's just health. How is he going to come back? How is he going to look coming back from that injury that he suffered last year, having off-season surgery? Hopefully everything's good. Hopefully he'll be back playing at that high level that we expect from Zach Tom every single year at that right tackle spot. But after Burton, I think you look at depth then as the main question. Darian Kinnard's back. He's the veteran swing tackle of this group. But what after because I think you can make the case that Green Bay's got their top 7 figured out. Barring any injuries, I think we kind of know who the top 7. And maybe they carry one more offensive lineman. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3. Anywhere from 1 to 3. I think if they carried just 8, I'd be a little bit nervous just because, you're an injury away from being a little bit short. So you're looking at guys like Donovan Jennings, Barnhart, Travis Glover, Brant Banks, Jacob Monk, John Williams. I mean, these guys are going to be fighting for those last spots on the offensive line, those depth spots. Travis Glover has been with the team for a couple of years. He was a 6th-round pick in 2024. Donovan Jennings entering his 2nd season. Barnhart's entering his 1st season. Brant Banks, they like him a lot. He's entering his 1st season too, or 2nd season, excuse me. Jacob Monk, he was a round 5 pick out of Duke in 2024. So you're looking at those guys maybe fighting anywhere between 1 and 3 positions. And it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that Green Bay might still add some veterans to the offensive line for depth purposes. They did it last year with Kinnard. If Green Bay gets into training camp and gets into these preseason games and is clearly evident that their second offensive line group is not getting the job done, and it looks like a mess, don't be surprised to see Green Bay go out there and make a trade or scour the waiver wire to try to improve that offensive line depth, because it starts in the trenches. I don't care of all the changes that the NFL has gone through over the years, passing game, running game. I want adequate, good depth at that offensive line position. I don't want it to be where one injury completely ruins it, where they can't run block or they can't pass protect for Jordan Love. So offensive line play this year. I'm fairly confident that we know the top 7, but there's still questions within that top 5. How are they going to perform? Are they going to be able to play at a high level? And then you're looking at the back end of those depth spots. Are those guys going to be able to get the job done, or is Green Bay going to have to make a move again in training camp during the preseason? Offensive line is definitely a position to have to go out there and watch and pay attention to. All right, we'll take a quick break. Plenty more to come. We got a quick text here from Brian from the Card Collecting Club. So excited for this youth movement by the Brewers. Laura was great. Pratt stepped up. Cheerios there. And then we have Mede Pena and Fisher raking in the minors. Then our young pitching has been solid. The future is bright. Keep sending us your Brewers thoughts. 715-830-1912. And also on the Section 105 chat room. Let's take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these few words. Believe it or not, hunting season preparation starts right now, and there is no better place to gear up than Tilden Gun in Chippewa Falls. Whether you are looking to Maybe upgrade your deer rifle or pick up a new turkey shotgun or add a dependable shotgun for traps, sporting clays, and target shooting, which is going on right now. A lot of leagues going on, sportsmen's clubs and such. Tilden Gun has a wide selection of firearms from the brands that you know and trust. Their knowledgeable staff can help you find the perfect fit for your hunting style, your experience level, and your budget. Plus, you'll find some ammo, accessories, optics, and more to help you get the most out of every trip to the range or into the field. Don't wait until the season is right around the corner. Get prepared now and shoot with confidence later. Stop by Tilden Gun in Chippewa Falls and see why sportsmen and shooting enthusiasts throughout the Chippewa Valley trust Tilden Gun for all of their firearm needs. And a big thanks again to Tilden Gun and Hunter at Tilden Gun last week helping me find Hudson's first deer rifle. And if you catch the latest video of the Scotty Sportsman, you probably saw Hudson on there helping sight it in too. So big thanks to Hunter. Customer service over at Tilden Gun is just awesome. So, okay, let's chat some football. I know we got some Brewers texts to get to here. I'll get to those here in just a little bit. But let's talk some football as we are inching closer and closer to training camp. We got Joe joining us. So, Joe, offensive lineman that is maybe the most in danger of the starters right now that are listed on the depth chart. The offensive lineman that is maybe in the most danger of losing his starting spot to the rookie Burton.
That's a great question, and I probably would go with Belton, just because of the fact that I think that he could actually be that swing tackle. So the domino effect when you have a situation like this is if you're saying, okay, we like Belton better as that third tackle position. Now, if you are sitting him for the rookie, then you're saying we're not moving guys around. We're just letting him focus on that one position. So I would say that, and again, I think you could make a case for Banks as well. And of course, Sean Ryan in the mix as well for that. But I think if you were to make a move with the rookie, I think it would be that right guard position, Belton, and then he swings out and becomes that third tackle.
When we look at with training camp, and we're doing a little bit of a countdown series of positions or storylines to watch, positions to watch, questions and all that, how high would offensive line be on that list for you?
Oh, I think it's very high. I think you look at last year, and in both pass pro and in the running game, the offensive line did not play well. And I know that there was a lot of factors that go into that, and so it might not necessarily be lack of talent. But when you look at when you look at Jordan Love from a clean pocket, and this is probably true for most quarterbacks, but it is considerably different, the stats and the type of game that Jordan Love plays from a clean pocket than he does from a pocket that's mucked up with traffic and problems from a pass rush. And then you look at the running game, and you look at how many yards after contact that the Packer running game actually established. So I think it's really high as far as the priority goes. And again, I've said this, offensive line is about continuity. It's about getting reps next to the guy that's playing right next to you. That if you're the left guard, it's the left tackle in the center, obviously. And so I think it's so critically important that Green Bay settles on a starting five relatively early in camp to give those five guys the most reps possible together. When you talk about storylines, obviously I think Marshawn Lloyd's health is going to be a big storyline. I think the receiver rotation is going to be a big storyline. I think also the outside backer situation with Micah Parsons not going to be available for the first part of the season. Who steps up? Who is that guy that's going to step up in Parsons' absence? So there's several storylines. And again, it was interesting, Dan, because I saw an ESPN thing this week, and I wanted to get your take on this. When you look at the Green Bay Packer roster, ESPN had it ranked as the 10th most talented roster in the NFL, and I started processing that and thinking about that. I said to myself, that's not bad. I think that's a fair estimation of where this roster is here in July. And so I wanted your take on that because, again, lots of storylines, lots of positional battles, lots of depth questions still on this football team. But I felt 10th was a pretty fair ranking by ESPN.
I think it was fair. I think the only question that I might have had is I don't know if the Lions are 4 spots ahead of Green Bay. I had they had the Lions at 6, especially with the Arnold situation in the secondary. I know they've had some moving parts in the offensive line, and that would be my only comparison. That I think Lions and Packers are a little bit closer than just 4 spots on there. But no, I mean with you're looking at, I think, from an offensive line standpoint for Green Bay, I think we have a good idea who the top 7 are, but I think there are questions in terms of, okay, are they like the long-term solutions, right? Even like Jordan Morgan. We know he's going to be left tackle, but is he going to be the guy, the next David Bakhtiari or whatever you want to say and such? So we may know those pieces, but I think there's still questions on, are they the guys for the long term?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And my question when you look at this and you start breaking down some of those guys on the roster that we know they're going to be starters, but at what level? I'd say right now that Green Bay's arrow is pointing up because of the fact that there's a lot of young guys that are going to be stepping into critical roles. And so I think the arrow has the potential to look up. But I also, obviously, when you have young guys who don't reach their potential and you're a draft and develop team, you could honestly be looking at it and they could be trending downward. So you could make an argument for either one of those. But yeah, I think when you break down this football team, I think it's a very talented team. I think Jordan Love, that next step, again, like I said, who's going to replace Micah Parsons? How does Christian Watson and Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden, how do they take that next level? What about Tucker Kraft? Does he come back? And does he really break into that upper echelon of tight end? So lots of potential, but lots of potential question marks that go along with that.
Since you brought up that piece from ESPN, they also mentioned about their run-pass ratio, and one of the writers made the point that Jordan Love maybe needs the ball in his hands a little bit more, and I believe that was a conversation a lot towards the end of last year, in the middle of the season last year from fans and such, is that maybe does Matt LaFleur and the Packers have to put the ball in Jordan Love's hands more? Is that something you would like to see a little bit more of this year, especially when you look at the running back questions? We don't know about Josh Jacobs. Obviously, we don't know about Marshawn Lloyd. Do you think Matt LaFleur needs to maybe pass the ball a little bit more and maybe trust Jordan Love a little bit more this year?
You know what? I think I'm going to phrase it this way. I think Matt LaFleur needs to be more aggressive. And if more aggressive is putting the ball in Jordan Love's hands, then the answer is yes. I was talking with someone just the other day about this, and we were talking about the difference between the Bears and Packers. And I said, if anybody wants to put that playoff loss on Jordan Love, it's very much misguided. Because you look at what he was able to do that game, and I still say this. Jaden Reed catches that perfectly thrown ball late in the game on that final drive. I think Green Bay punches it in at that point. And so, I think I want Matt LaFleur to be more aggressive. And if more aggressive means that 3 or 4 more shots for Jordan Love to dictate the game offensively, then yeah, absolutely. I think Matt LaFleur this year really needs to be calling aggressive game plans. And we've seen that Green Bay has had a problem putting teams away, and whether it's a mentality, whether it's the play calls, whatever it is, there needs to be more of that killer instinct. And I think that's where Matt LaFleur needs to be more aggressive. If that means giving the ball to Jordan Love and putting him in situations to be successful, then absolutely. And again, you're right. There are a lot of question marks in this running game. And Josh Jacobs, regardless of what happens off the field, there's a lot of tread on those tires. And with no really number one reliable backup, and again, I still think Green Bay goes out and gets someone coming up here pretty shortly. But, yeah, I would like to see LaFleur be more aggressive. If aggressive means Jordan Love, then so be it.
Speaking of, going out there and get them, let's go back to the offensive line. They did that with Darian Kinnard last year. If Green Bay gets into training camp and we see that maybe the second unit is just not getting it done in that. Would you like to see Green Bay go out there and be aggressive and find another veteran like they did with Kennard, or should they do that before training camp starts?
I think that on paper, at least, from what they've said, I think Green Bay is pleased right now with what they have. So I don't see them doing anything before camp, but I do see them definitely pulling the trigger if something needs to be done, or, of course, if an injury happens. If the injury happens, 100% you go out and get something done. But I think Green Bay will wait to see what they have with the pads on because, again, very hard to see what you have from an offensive line standpoint in shorts. So I could see them holding off, seeing what they have once contact happens, once the guys get in the pads, and then making a move after that.
Is the X factor for the Packers this year Savion Williams?
Offensively, it very much could be, but I think you have to look at Matthew Golden and really put yourself in a position now. I mean, again, those opportunities are going to be there for Golden, and so I love the Swiss Army knife of a Savion Williams, but until I see more body of work, and you had asked me several weeks ago, what do I want to see out of Savion Williams to really become a believer? And for me, it's the route tree development. It's really being able to put him in different positions, whether it's the X or the Z or the slot or wherever you're putting him. I want to see him be able to run the full route tree. So, yes, Savion Williams has that Swiss Army knife, but I think the X factor for this offense is really going to be how they use Matthew Golden in year two. Jayden Reed, we know, is a tremendous slot receiver. He's locked up. We know Christian Watson, when healthy, takes the top off the defense. So what role is Matthew Golden going to play? And Matthew Golden has a little bit of Jayden Reed and a little bit of Christian Watson because he's got the slot size, but he's got that Watson deep speed. And so I think he's really the guy that if Green Bay is going to take that next step offensively, I think Matthew Golden needs to be a little bit more of that guy. And so that I think is, for me, is the true X factor. That Swiss Army knife, like I said, I like what Savion Williams brings to the table. I'd like to see a bigger body of work before I say, hey, this is a guy that could be a difference maker 4 or 5 plays a game. And one big point on this, when you talk about X factors for this team, I really think the signing of Sky Moore, I think really is going to pay dividends for the Packers because finally they are putting some emphasis on the return game. And so I think that could be your X factor, especially from a special team standpoint.
Before I let you go, I got to switch gears and get your thoughts on Badger football and the Badgers hiring Sean Eichhorst as their new athletic director. I know you're an alum at the university and that. So what's your thoughts on the Badgers going maybe with the non-splashy hire?
You know what? I thought it's a great hire. It is a great hire. And again, we look at these hires. I thought McIntosh was a good hire. So obviously it remains to be seen what they have here. But I think they went a traditional route, Wisconsin roots, big time programs that he's had experience in. And so you've got a guy that has Wisconsin roots, but I think that will play to the alumni. That will play very, very much to the alumni. And there's been a lot of complaints about Fickell's approach to recruiting in the state. And, of course, Alvarez, when he came here, he said, we're going to build a wall around the state. And Fickell kind of turned his back on the state. And now you see the recruiting classes moving forward, much more emphasis on that. So I think bringing a Wisconsin guy back home, first of all, check number one. Okay, we're going to build up that base again in home, in the state, to make sure we've got that wall built around it. And then you've got a guy who's got big time experience. And so I thought it was a great hire. And it's interesting, Dan, because I was actually talking, same people I was talking about, the Bears and Packers, that we started talking Badger football. And, if Fickell doesn't do it this year, the payout is $25 million. And so if they do need to make a move, it's an expensive move they're going to have to make. And so, it looks like Fickell has his most talented football team since he's been here. It looks like the AD hire was a good one. But until we see what happens, especially in Big Ten play, we just don't know. But at this point, does it seem like they made the moves they had to, and these could be right moves? Absolutely. But like I said, I thought it was going to be a seamless transition from Alvarez to McIntosh, and we all know what happened there. So good hire on paper. I like it here on July 8th. Remains to be seen. Talk to me on September 8th. Talk to me on October 8th. Talk to me about it on November 8th, and we'll see how I feel then.
He's Joe DeGuano joining us this morning. Appreciate the time as always, sir. Enjoy the rest of the week here, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
All right, Dan. Take care, man.
You got it. There you go. There's Joe joining us here. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after these quick words. Summer road trips create some great memories, but sometimes, you know what? Accidents happen. If a fender bender puts a dent in your plans, trust Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire to get your vehicle looking like new again. Their experienced team provides quality collision repair and attention to detail that helps restore your vehicle and your peace of mind. When life bumps into your vehicle, count on Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire. Reminder, Brewers Game 4 of this series tonight, 6:45. Coverage will begin 35 minutes prior on your radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM, so that's about 6:10. 6:10 this evening. Kyle Ayerson on the mound looking for his 9th win on the season, looking to improve to 9-1 on the season. Coming up in about, let's say 15 minutes or so, just past 8 o'clock, after our news updates at 8 o'clock, we'll catch up with Ty from Slab Factory for our Inside the Hobby segment. So it's been a couple weeks since we were able to catch up with Ty, so we will chat with him. And if you have any questions for Ty, too, please feel free to text those on over to our Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. 715-830-1912. So we'll get those to Ty. You can also join in on the Section 105 chat as well. So we'll get to those coming up here in just a little bit. But it is a What If Wednesday. All right, so give me your best what-if sports scenarios that are out there. What if this? What if that? What if this were to happen? What if this team did this? All right, send them on over. Have a little fun with this so I can throw it out to the rest of the listeners and get their feedback on it, too. We'll do a little right before 8 o'clock because I do have to take another break here. So we'll do a little, what are we doing here Wednesday? What are we doing here Wednesday? I want to hit that up coming up here in just a couple minutes, too. So we are playing a little behind, so we got to play a little catch-up and that. So we'll do that here. But got a few more texts about the Brewers before I take a quick break. We got Mark saying, good start to the Lara era. You're right. His speed was something I was not expecting. Man, that guy is fast. This team has a ton of speed to it. We've got Nick texting in here. I hope Robert Gasser continues to get opportunities in the starting rotation. I think he's a better starter than a bullpen option for the Brewers. We have Sam text in here. It is a shame that Bryce Terang is not in the All-Star game. I hope some way that they can find him in there. But with the games from yesterday, awesome day for the Brewers to sweep the Cardinals. It seems like the Brewers have the Cardinals number this year. And we got another texter here, Scott, texting in saying, Lara looks legit. I know it's only one game, but, man, that kid can fly across the bases. If he can be consistent in getting on the base at the top of the lineup, Brewers should have no problem scoring more runs. Base hits can easily get him get him across home plate. continue to send those. Continue to send me your thoughts and opinions on Laura Mizrowski, Robert Gasser, the Brewers, et cetera, et cetera. I'll get to those throughout the program. We'll take a quick break as we start to wrap up the second hour. We'll be right back with a little, what are we doing here? After these quick words. Looking for the perfect summer hangout? Well, make your way to the VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire. You can enjoy some beautiful views overlooking the river, some great food, some cold beverages, and some of the best live local music that you will find anywhere in the Chippewa Valley. Whether you're meeting some friends after work or spending a summer evening outdoors, the VFW Post 305 is the place to be. Great views, great music, great times. That's the VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire. All right, let's do a little, what are we doing here? And for me, I'm going with the NBA. And I'm probably going to sound like old man in the front yard screaming at the sky here. But, so, Chris Middleton signed a 3-year, $17.6 million deal with the Washington Wizards via a sign and trade with Dallas. So Middleton's going back to the Washington Wizards. That's not my, what are we doing here? My, what are we doing here is because this is all part of a very confusing, elaborate 6-team trade between the Pistons, the Grizzlies, the Clippers, the Bucks, the Mavericks, and the Wizards. Washington sent D'Angelo Russell. I'm going to try to break this all down here. Washington sent D'Angelo Russell, a 2029 second rounder, a 2032 second round swap, and a 2033 second round pick to Memphis. Dallas also includes a 2033 second round selection with Middleton to Washington. Also in the trade is that Bucks-Pistons trade where LeVert and 2 second round picks to the Bucks for Prince and Harris. The deal creates a trade exception for the Pistons as well as cap savings. Other moves that were previously agreed upon or also involved in the deal. Detroit sent Marcus Sasser to Dallas, Isaiah Stewart to Memphis, and a protected 2028 second-round pick to the Clippers. Memphis traded Aldama and the draft rights to Tarek Bibervovic to Dallas and 3 second-round picks. Clippers trade John Collins to Detroit and cash to Milwaukee. Dallas traded blah, but there's a lot. What are we doing here? Why does this have to be so confusing for fans to kind of follow along? I mean, credit to the NBA peeps who can keep track of this, but this is like getting out of hand here. We're talking pick swaps 6-7 years from now. We're talking 6 teams involved in creating some trade exemptions and cap space. Good golly, this is confusing. I'm just like, what? Explain it. It's like Michael Scott from The Office. Explain this to me like I'm 5. Why do we have to make this so confusing? I know it's an old man fan screaming in the front of his yard towards the sky. The experts get it. The experts can figure this out now. But from a fan standpoint, what does this mean for my team? Okay? Explain this to me in simple terms. What does this mean for my team? Because I can't even keep track of all these pick swaps, second rounders, first rounders. Well, protected, lottery protected, and that. It's making it hard from a fan standpoint to follow along. What are we doing here with all this, man? So, yeah, that's kind of a grind my gears, but it's like, what are we doing? Why do we got to continue to do it like this? I get it. Other people can figure that out and such. So, all right. Coming up in just a few minutes here, we'll talk with Ty from Slab Factory. So we'll do a little card chat. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk coming up here as well as we get set for Game 4 of this series tonight. Kyle Harrison is on the mound. We'll start to preview that here. We'll continue to do some what if. What's a sports scenario? What's a sports what if that you would like to throw out for the rest of the listeners to chime in about, hit me up. All right, 715-830-1912. We got a few more texts to catch up on when it comes to the Brew Crew. Brewers, this is from Brian, another Brian here. Brian says, Luis Lara looked the part yesterday, overreaction Wednesday. Feel like that guy is going to be a stud. Another texter, don't have a name, can't give you any credit, but says, I agree. I agree with the one texter. I hope Robert Gasser stays within the starting rotation. Don't know whose spot he would take over, but it seems like he is getting better and better in his last couple of starts and reminding everybody what he looked like when he made his debut just a couple of years ago. And then finally, we've got Jake with the Brewers text coming in here and saying, give credit to Joey Ortiz. He's definitely been hitting better at the plate. Maybe it is because the Brewers moved him back to third base. Hopefully this is something he can continue, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence that he can continue to produce from the plate. Good stuff. All right. I only got about 30 seconds till the shot clock cuts me off. So we're at halftime. We got some news updates. We'll kick off the next hour with a little Inside the Hobby. We'll get back to some more baseball talk. We've got some what ifs coming your way as well, and more of your thoughts. Continue to send us those messages on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line or on the Section 105 chat room. So we'll be right back after these quick words.